Since I purchased my first teepee, I haven't had a tent. If I go camping, I use the teepee. Bonding that it creates for the group that uses it. It's a memory that we will all keep forever. When I found myself in a situation where, okay, now I've spent my savings, I have no place to live, what money I have left, I can't afford to pay rent, the teepee was the only alternative I saw.
The teepees came about by accident. The fabricating of the teepees came from necessity, and he just had such an outpouring of interest in it that he ended up making them for other people. We were married for 8 years, and then we got divorced, and we were divorced for 17 years, and he lived in Colorado and I lived in California. And then almost 3 years ago, he came out here on vacation.
I was camped on the exact location that Lewis and Clark camped when they came on their exploration of the West. And in fact, in the exact location where they met Sacagawea, the Indian that guided them. That was just the most exciting thing, to camp right there at the confluence of the Missouri and Yellowstone River. Everybody oohing and ahhing over the teepee and meeting so many different people, and that got a little out of control for a while.
He was here about a year, I guess, when we started Two Feathers Teepee. It all started that day in the yard when that man stopped and wanted to rent one. So we rented the teepee, and then we listed one for sale on eBay. It sold in 3 days.
My previous experience in sheet metal and building things out of sheet metal was very valuable to me in learning the design of the teepee. There's not much difference between making something out of metal or making it out of cloth.
It takes him about 2 weeks to make one teepee, not counting the poles. If he makes it including the poles, that adds about another 2 weeks of time out in the woods, falling, peeling. Peeling the poles takes quite a while, because they have to be barkless to keep from damaging the canvas. Teepee poles have to be smooth and peeled.
I've read a lot, done a lot of research on it, the history and the different tribes, and how the difference in how they made their teepees and how they used them. I don't advertise or ever indicate that I am offering an authentic Indian teepee. I would never make that claim. I offer a replica of an authentic teepee. And then I have done a couple modifications to the liner and floor, and then the front door. So that is one thing I'd like to emphasize, is I'm not trying to claim any kind of authenticity. This is something that I created from an existing product. The business part of it was, for me, the harder part to learn, because I always worked for someone, and they did all that end of it.
It's hard to go into a retail business that isn't going to get squashed by a big box department store. And teepees are definitely a niche. You're not going to find a teepee with 17 poles 23 feet long at a big box retailer.
I don't want to criticize China or their product. I want to emphasize that we have the ability to make a quality product in the United States.
I checked the email one day, and there's a request in the email to shoot a commercial for Ralph Lauren. And I think in the beginning Randy didn't know who Ralph Lauren was, because when I was so excited he acted like I was crazy, and I said, "Don't you know Polo Ralph Lauren, the famous clone?" But again, it was in Los Angeles and just not profitable to travel that far with a teepee for a rental for just a few days.
We have spent a full year in investing all of my time and all of my extra money, if there is extra money, to make this happen. And it isn't until just now that we see the prospects of actually making an income. And then in the pursuit of trying to create this business and make an income, I'm looking at any opportunities that seem reasonable. I decided to try to build a pet teepee. And because of it's so light, the animal, a cat or a dog going in and out, would just knock it over. So I made this base and glue the poles in so that the animal can come in and out of it without knocking it over. My main interest is everything teepee. I want to take pieces of wood, I take them and carve them into a landscape and then make a little teepee village. When I make my silhouettes, I take this very small pine cones and stand them up, paint them green and stand them up and use them to make trees. They match real well with the little teepees, you know.
It's like you can get about anything in the shape of a teepee. Teepee apron, teepee Avon bottle. Avon made a teepee bottle of cologne called Wild Country Aftershave in a teepee bottle. I should get Randy one for Christmas.
Being able to do it with my wife and work directly with her, and the camaraderie that we've developed, the excitement that comes with it, that both of us can share. That's the best part.
And this is where the idea came from for our logo. Our logo is just a simple triangular drawing of the teepee with the door, and the poles morph into the two feathers at the top. And our logo doesn't have the poles in it, obviously, but the two feathers replace the poles. And these sitting here are how it was decided, Two Feathers Teepee.
I had originally thought about Feather River teepees because we live close to the Feather River. And it sounded good, it flowed well. And then one night I was just sitting there thinking about, I used to have a figurine of two peas in a pod. And it just flashed in my brain, Two Feathers Teepee. It could be a dying art. I mean, I had to teach myself. I could find no one that would teach me. Yeah, I'm very anxious to teach it to someone else, to mentor to younger individuals, to pass the knowledge on, and perhaps create something for them in their lives.
Let's see who our competition is if we search teepee, Northern California. And this guy listed the same teepee for sale for 3 different prices. Oh, here's some made out of army canvas.
I really believe that Burning Man could be our biggest market for a single event. Next year we will rent a lot more, and I will be able to offer my art, and the next year it will increase even more because I will provide take the teepees right there to the entrance. They can just pick it up right there and go on in. It fits right into their whole decor and the art that they're trying to present. The internet was the key factor that made this product marketable. Because we can reach out so far that we can reach enough people. Without the internet, I fear that we may not have been successful because the inability to reach enough people to make it happen.
See, here's a 18-footer for $2,000, and it doesn't have the liner sewn to the floor. I think they're a little proud of that. It does have some nice designs stained on the cover. And we put our designs on the floor, not on the cover. A lot of people put designs on the cover, but we think they're much more authentic, just white, the way that they were meant to look. But not a lot of teepee manufacturers anywhere. Just seems like there's only a handful across the whole United States. I'm really excited to be part of that.
We all know that manufacturing any product is going to leave a footprint. So the manufacturing of the material itself, I have a few issues with that personally, but I don't see an alternative. I don't have the ability to tan hides and make them out of hides. So, uh, you know, I try very hard to leave the smallest footprint that I can. In my adult life, less than half of my adult life I've even owned an automobile. But I see no alternative to leave no footprint. So my ambition is to leave the smallest I possibly can. You know, the trees that I take were chosen by the Forest Service. Take these trees because we need these out of the way so the ones around them can grow. So I don't feel bad about taking the trees because my understanding is that they're so tightly grouped together that in the end only two are going to win. So I may as well take some of them now and put them to good use. We tried a different canvas, but it was more porous and it just didn't shed the water well enough. And you don't want to get wet inside, you know. So the Sun Forger, because it's so sheer, the water just runs right off of it. One of the critical parts of making a seam is that you have no exposed edges. If the edge is exposed, it'll fray away and fray away. So what I do is make a French seam that encases all of the edges, and you overlap half an inch, and so and I just sew everything twice. I want to make sure that I deliver a good product and I don't have any repairs coming back. And that creates a seam that won't fray, and it's got 3 rows of sewing, and I've never had one come apart. I think it looks pretty neat. So there's an example of a seam. And when you put them together, the pattern for an 18-foot teepee is 42 feet long and 20 feet wide. So there's a lot of seams.
I'm sure people who like the stained covers and things like that might say that one of the manufacturers who does that is the best teepee maker. But I bet they have a crew and a pattern, and they don't do every one with their own hands theirself. And we do every one with our own hands.
Oh, there's a lot of people who have an interest but have never pursued it due to the investment they have to make into it. They wouldn't use it enough to justify that much of an investment. We sold one to a woman that planned on living in it. She purchased it to live in.
Say the variety of people that use teepees are, boy, all walks of life. The very wealthy might just want the experience of taking their kids camping in a teepee, and you might have a nomadic group come through and want to rent it for a week.
Throughout my life, I've seen the economy go up and the economy go down. And I've always been able to put something together through all of it. And that is the American way. If you get out there and try and put your best foot forward, you can be successful in this country. Even today, I believe that.
We're not looking to get rich. We're not looking to grow into a booming teepee manufacturer. We're just looking to do what we love and make a living doing it.
I never plan on retiring, or I never plan on stopping. But I see that as what an exciting way to spend the last 30 years of my life.